Bola Ahmed TINUBU, who is about to be sworn in as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has come on the news again alongside his son, SEYI TINUBU, who recently acquired a mansion, a 3-story building that cost 11 million. I'm not talking of Naira. I'm talking about 11 million euros. I'm talking about 12 million euros. I'm talking about 10 million pounds. Depends on how you want to balance the numbers. But we are talking about millions of cash here. He paid this cash down. This is not mortgage. Cash down. Now, people are beginning to examine the report by Bloomberg that stated that SEYI TINUBU acquired a UK property worth millions of dollars. Yes, millions of dollars. Now, I'm sure for those who do not know that all fingers are not equal, now, today, they are looking at their fingers and they are saying that all fingers are not equal. But then, let us go to what this young man does. What does SEYI TINUBU does? He's not 40-year-old. He's not 50. He's just in his 30s. I think 35 or thereabout. What did he do? What kind of job? I'm sure you're asking yourself. Apart from his father using monopoly and some other, forms of intimidation to corner adverts, billboards to him, that is what he does with some other businesses. And if you have a free hand, definitely you will acquire a lot and a lot of money. Now, that is not where the twist comes in. That property has a tag on it. EFCC could not get that property because of jurisdiction issue. You'll be wondering what I'm talking about. Let us go back to Alison Desiani. Alison Desiani, former petroleum minister, crony called Aluko. Aluko bought that property and EFCC shut it down somehow, like, you know what, mister, you cannot own this property. Now, people are saying, is Buhari's government trying to transfer what they have seized from some other criminals in the past administration, PDP, Goodluck Jonathan's administration? They are now transferring it down to APC, who is the best person or who is the right person that should have some of those juicy properties that they've, seized from one criminal. Of course, the incoming president. Where did this young man get $11 million, 11 million pounds, 11 million euros from to acquire that property? Is there something around it? Now, if you talk about documentation, they will definitely show you where they got money from. It will tell you he's a private businessman and he's worth 300 million, blah, 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 and he can buy this and buy that. There is nowhere the United Kingdom will be, I don't think the United Kingdom will be able to investigate to find out or do whatever more than what this is. Well, there are people who are saying a lot of things as regards this. I don't want to be like the only person talking. Let us hear what other commentators have to say about this.
In 2020, Alpha Beta's MD said in a writ of summons that 500 million naira was diverted to Starcoms, Aranda Resources. We now know TINUBU's son, SEYI, is its main shareholder. Connecting the dots, TINUBU using Alpha Beta to pay his son, SEYI, millions. Well, Kweku wrote, so, 6 years ago, while SEYI TINUBU was still 30 years old, he was able to afford a 7.5 billion naira cash payment for a house in London, a house that was lined up for seizure by the Buhari administration due to corruption ties, was suddenly bought over by TINUBU's son, and he paid in cash. Well, Amotaya wrote, from a legal perspective, this is a clean transaction for SEYI. Don't just look good. To be fair on SEYI TINUBU, if the property had been on receivership by Deutsche Bank, then it means that it was no longer Aluko's property. With how receivership works, the Nigerian government would not have been able to take it over anyways. It will have just been sold to anyone. Receivership is defined as a legal process in which a creditor, that is Deutsche Bank, assumes ownership of a debtor, Aluko's property, after they default on a mortgage that is secured by a fixed legal charge. Well, the odd question is whether Aluko deliberately defaulted on his mortgage so that the Nigerian government could no longer confiscate it as proceeds of embezzlement allegations. The transaction by SEYI TINUBU by itself, it's not illegal, but the circumstances are shady. Well, Ayo, this whole conversation was huge on social media. I mean, the first question is, what is Bloomberg's interest in this whole deal? I mean, is the United Kingdom, are they questioning this transaction? Are they questioning the property? Why is Bloomberg interested at this point?
Well, Bloomberg is an international media house, and they have a right to investigate cases of interest. Now, in terms of the United Kingdom's interest, the property itself is in St. John's Wood, which is in North London, which is in the United Kingdom. And we know that in the past, with efforts with regards to illegal use of money or money laundering or purchase of property using illegally gotten funds, the UK has indicated in the past interest to support Nigeria in repatriating funds that have come from, loots or through illegal means. So perhaps you can see that as an angle as to the UK's interest, Bloomberg's interest. But at the end of the day, we have a report, and the report doesn't look very clear. There are grey areas. To be honest, SEYI TINUBU is a private citizen. It's his dad, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who's run for presidency and who is now the president-elect. However, he is an interest in terms of a figure because, of course, he's the son of the president-elect. And so what he does could reflect poorly or well on his father. The lawyers have spoken. There's no legal implication, at least up until now, for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or would affect his swearing in because he's not listed in Aranda. It is his son, SEYI TINUBU.
I am very sure that it would be foolish of you to still ask where he got the money from. Obviously, you know where he got the money from. That money was not gotten from waking up in the morning, going to work and coming back in the evening. No, you don't get that kind of money working 9 to 5. Never. Such money comes from criminal activities and, maybe monopoly or some other forms of businesses. Now, I'm not trying to tell you that there aren't people who are rich, who can afford this due to diligence and work and luck and perseverance, and some might even want to use the word destiny if there is anything like that. But the point still remains. This shows to you that all fingers are not equal and that life is not balanced because certain individuals have made it so. That is the truth. That's the reality of it. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being a man that has hustled back in those years when he ran out of Nigerian exile, he went to some other kind of businesses, and even before then, he had been a businessman too. He had been involved in buying and selling and some other, businesses. But he did not just sit down abroad. He did some things to make sure that he's extremely rich, and eventually became governor of Lagos State. And that is where the pulley, as they often call it, he started pulling money from different quarters, making illegal money, but making it appear legit by creating policies. And, he worked with the legislators and they came up with some policies that backed up whatever it is that he does. So as it is, it's like all hands are folded. It's just that Nigerians are not just happy, like, how could this guy have acquired? It's not a matter of envy. You cannot envy someone who has stolen from you. You see, you cannot envy the person because the person is rich from what they have stolen, you see. So this young man is simply showing to you why people are desperate to get into politics, why people are desperate to get into a lot of criminal activities because they want to be able to do the same thing. That's just what it is. Let us hear more analysis from Ruben Abati. And don't forget to like and share. Don't forget to subscribe.
Okay, here. The principle is that law is not morality. So many of the people who have commented on this, they are raising moral questions. They're saying, where did SEYI TINUBU get the money from? Where did Tinubu's children, where did they get money from? Now, these are persons who have not held public office. So technically, really, it will be wrong to say, you are questioning their legal rights to own property, which is provided for expressly under Section 43 of the 1999 Constitution, which says that as a Nigerian citizen, you can own immovable, you can acquire and own immovable property. But that law talks about Nigeria. Now, under the property rights, property ownership rights, if you are of age of maturity, you can own property. And these properties that we're talking about here, they are in other jurisdictions. SEYI TINUBU is 37-year-old, is said to have acquired a property in England at the age of 30. Now, except there are issues about money laundering, about abuse of resources in Nigeria, then the UK authorities themselves are in a position to raise questions about how you steal money from Nigeria to come and acquire a 3-story property in England. That is not the case, but I'm sure that the UK authorities are following the story and they will look at it. Bloomberg reporting the story, well, Bloomberg doesn't need to have any special interest. Bloomberg, you know, is a media house. A media house can inquire into any subject affecting anybody under the sun. The linkage with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is president-elect falls under that category that once you are a public figure,
absolutely,
everything about you is game. Even your old girlfriends who are on retirement benefits can be investigated. Why are you laughing?
I mean, you always say
some girlfriends never retire. You know, they have to keep.
Some girlfriends never retire.
They keep receiving benefits for life. But in any case,
talking from experience.
But in any case, that's not a subject before
us.
Okay, so in this particular case, it will be difficult for anybody to link the fact that Bola Ahmed Tinubu once spent time there in his son's house, you know, to link it with the politics of Nigeria. So I think that in this regard, the court judgment that people are referring to, that, oh, a federal high court said that property was, you know, under investigation, EFCC was going to take it and all of that. The EFCC jurisdiction does not extend to the UK. So the material, the judgment of the High Court in Nigeria is not going to take effect in UK. And if the property was under receivership, under a different jurisdiction, I don't see any legal impediments, you know, preventing SEYI TINUBU from owning that property. All other issues about where did he get the money from, who is the true owner of the party, his father gave him the money, those are moral questions. And that is why I suspect that the spokespersons of the president, the EFCC, the other parties involved have refused to comment on the subject.
Absolutely.
Welcome back. Now, you heard clearly there is nothing the EFCC can do about it because it is beyond their jurisdiction. And secondly, private individuals have the right to purchase property unless money laundering is being investigated. That is another. And not just that alone. You also heard that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's daughter, who some say she's not straight, she has mental issues, they say she also bought a condo in the United States. What do you expect from a man who have been into a lot of shady deals and all of that in the US, and they said he's into drugs? Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been touching different kinds of money. Let us be very clear. Now, if your father has been governor of Lagos State and has sat down on Lagos for many years, obviously there will be free money. It's called inheritance. Apart from money and properties that he has sat down, that he has right now, acquired illegally and whatever way, they are still going to own all of that, you know. So if you talk about this, there are a lot that you don't know. A lot that you know. We are just looking at this one. There are more out there that will shock you. Life, indeed, is not balanced. There are people who have access to, you know, government. There are people who are even the head. They are sitting on government. They steal. And you will see them and their children do such. We are talking of 11 million. 11 million. And that's not the only thing or property or whatever expensive that you will find. There are a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. To buy a property for that amount, you should know what it means. We are not talking of some block of flats. We are talking about location that are, you know, and moreover, we should ask ourselves, does that property actually cost 11 million? That's it. Don't forget that it could be part of a deal also. You know what? We are going to cost this property. They definitely will look for estate agents, they will look for property evaluators, and they will do all of that. But if I say this, my house cost 50 million, even if generally around that area it costs less than that, no one is going to question if someone is there to pay. So we don't know. That is what they want to still investigate. Is there a kind of dealing by certain individuals who are in government or the same ALOCO or whoever is saying, you know what, Mr. Man, buy this property, we'll give you the money to buy this property, we'll do this, we'll do that. We don't know yet. Investigation is still going on, it's still going to be carried out, but not in Nigeria, because the man in question, SEYI, his father, is going to be president in some couple of weeks. So forget about investigation in Nigeria. We're talking about United Kingdom looking into it if there are loopholes or whatever it is that they need to see. That's it. But I doubt it. I doubt that anything is going to come out of this. That's the truth. Unless there are links to money laundering or proceeds of crime being used to buy properties and all of that. If there is nothing like that, there is nothing anyone can do. This just sheds light to the reality on ground for those who are ready to die and kill themselves for politicians. Look at you, killing yourself for politicians. Your children are abroad. When they are finished stealing, they buy properties for their kids. Come on. We are talking of the same Nigeria. Now, ask yourself, are you really a Nigerian? If you're a Nigerian, how come SEYI, TINUBU can buy that property of that amount in the UK? And you say you are a human being and you're a Nigerian. It's time for you to give yourself brain. What are your thoughts about this one? Let us meet at the comment section. Like and share this video. Subscribe to this channel. See you in the next update.